Do we really have to give up, friends, everything, in order to follow Jesus? And the answer to this is no, a resounding no. We don't. And yet, that is the caricature of Christianity that is being presented to us in this post-modern, post-Christian world that we're living in. It's a lie. We don't have to give up everything in order to follow Jesus. So, follow this. I think it's hard to imagine us giving up everything for like one thing. I mean, like maybe for one person that we really love a lot, we'd be willing to give up a lot in order to have that person. Think of like a parent with a child who's in a hospital bed, and that parent, more than anything, just wants their child to be healed and be restored. And they're praying to God, they're bargaining with God and saying, Lord, just heal my child and I will do. And they'll just give that litany of all the things that they would do, all the things they'll give up, all the things that they'll become. And God will just answer this prayer. So with a person, we get close to that, right? Well, how about when it comes to another person, someone else, Jesus Christ? And here's the deal. When we invest in Jesus, like over the course of our lives, we actually become like that parent who's willing to give up just about anything in order to possess Jesus and to be happy with him forever in this life and the life to come. How do I know that is as real as possible? Well, I mean, all we have to do really is look at Matthew 13. Matthew 13 is that familiar parable of a man who goes and digs up a treasure in a field. And when he finds the treasure, he reburies it, and then he goes off, sells everything that he has in order to have enough money to buy the field so he can dig up the treasure and make the treasure his own. Now, just something really obvious here is that obviously the man doesn't own the field. He's a worker in the field. Otherwise, there's no need to sell everything he has to possess it because he already possesses it. He doesn't possess it, so he goes off and sells everything. But before he does that, he buries it because you have a right to whatever is in the property that you purchase in ancient Near East times. So he sells everything he has. Now he buys it from the owner. Now he owns the treasure. Well, listen, a couple things. The treasure in the field is Jesus. All right? And you're right, we don't own the field. We don't own Jesus. The field is our life. And we actually don't own our lives. Now, there's many people who believe that they own their lives. And we hear all that propaganda in the news and in our media in many, many ways. You know, it's my choice and so on, right? Now, we do have freedom for a while. But that's only so that we have the freedom to choose God or not choose God. But we don't own our bodies. We don't control them. I mean, there's going to be a day when we die and we have no control over that at all. All right? So we're the field that we don't actually own. God built this field. God built this body. And God will have this body back one day. And by our choice, it'll either be in heaven with God or away from God forever in hell. But that is our freedom. And we have it here now in this life. So the treasure is Jesus and the field is us. What are we willing to do in order to possess Jesus? Possess him, meaning in order to have him in our lives. Are we willing to sell everything in order to have that? And I think if we really understood Jesus as our treasure, we'd be willing to do that. But the deal is that we actually don't have to sell everything, meaning that once we're in a relationship with Jesus, that somehow our life is going to be greatly diminished and we're going to lose out on all the experiences that other people are having who are not buying the farm, so to speak. Okay? No, that's a lie. That's the lie of this age. Here's how this works. I want you to, if anyone's ever been to the Easter Vigil, and even if you haven't, I'll describe it to you for a second. But the Easter Vigil starts outside the church with one single flame that lights the Easter candle. But the whole inside of the church, it's on Saturday night, is in darkness. And what happens is that the deacon or the priest comes in, he holds that candle up to the darkness, all the people in the church, and he proclaims, Christ, our light. Christ is our light. And we say, thanks be to God. And then from that one light, everyone else who's holding a candle receives that light. So Christ, our light. Christ is the one who's our everything. He's our light in this world. And then we all receive lights from that one light. But it doesn't diminish the one flame. In fact, it multiplies that into many flames. And then many of us have the light of Christ that we're holding on to. Well, think of Christ as that treasure. That when we receive Christ as our treasure, then he enriches our whole life. He enriches our minds, our bodies, our souls, our relationships, our worldview, our actions, our behaviors, our attitude, our hope, right? Everything. He enriches everything. He enhances everything. He doesn't make it less, he makes it more. Because he is more. And everything that he offers is so much more than what we can grasp for on our own, or for what the world can give to us separate from God. So when we then receive Christ in this way, Christ as a treasure is like that light that not only then enhances our own life, lightens up our own life, but then we can multiply the treasure who is Christ by giving him away. So like when a mother and a father give their faith fully to the children over the course of their children's life, do you think that they set them up for a life of success or a life of failure? An eternity of success or an eternity of failure? You think that they set them up for being able to discern who true friends are and who true friends are not, how to find the right spouse or how not to find the right spouse, how to know what to value in this life and what should be our priorities, what to do with their jobs, their retirement, their health, everything, right? Because God enlightens everything. No, when a parent raises their children truly, fully in the life of the faith, they're setting their children up to be not followers of this world, but leaders in this world who will lead many people to Christ. And over the course of our lives, when we are sharing our treasure with others, we're giving them what? We're giving them more love. We're giving them more forgiveness, more patience, more acceptance. Yes, more acceptance. To accept them the way that God created them to be, and to help them to be in truth fully the person that God created them to be, and therefore to be happy with them, not just in the world to come, but even in this world now. And what ends up happening is that we can live this, there is no more fulfilled life than giving Christ to others. Like we can spend all of our lives working 80 hours a week and accumulating all this money and all of these things and never be anywhere near as happy as enriching other people's lives with Christ. And that's that candle that lights other candles without going out. That's that treasure that we take out of our lives and we just dump into the lives of other people, but our own treasure never goes out. Christ dwelling inside of us doesn't get diminished by us sharing Christ with other people. You know, I'll give you this as an example. When I was discerning priesthood, I was afraid that I was having to give up a lot. I was having to give up being married and having children and that family life, and therefore my life was going to be less. It was going to be diminished. What I was afraid of, I got far more than I ever was afraid of losing, right? I was blessed with certainly my family, my 3 sisters, and then got to be an intimate part of all of their children's lives, and still am. And then solid men relationships with other priests that have just been supervisors, mentors, father figures, men in my life that have helped me grow up into manhood. What man gets that in today's world, right? And then men and women, married couples and families who are all up and down my priesthood. I've been able to be a part of their marriages and their families. And I had some phenomenal friendships with people, meaning I haven't had less intimacy in my life. As a priest, I get more intimacy than most men throughout the course of their lives, or most women throughout the course of their lives. So I didn't have to give up a lot. You're right. I mean, we all have to sacrifice for the things that are a treasure. But my point, and Jesus' point is we get so much more back than we sacrifice for. God being our treasure then, that treasure will grow inside of us and overflow into the life of others. And then we'll have people surrounding us that are just like the best of people through the ups and downs of their lives. And we can be the best to them. And we can spread that light, spread that treasure, but without losing that treasure, we gain more and more of that treasure. And not just for here and now in this life, but forever in heaven. Jesus says, to the foolish man in another gospel, in Luke's gospel, you fool, you spent your whole life storing up treasures in this life, but then at the end of your life, you were not rich in the things that matter to God. And it's that richness, my friends, that's going to get us into heaven, or the lack of it that won't. So, what do you want? You don't own your life, so give it away. But give it to Christ, who will give it back to you. And right in the middle of that will be a treasure, Him. And because you treasure Him, you will allow Him to color every part of your mind, heart, and soul, every relationship, everything that you do, everything that you are. And that will certainly not make your life less beautiful, good, true, adventurous, fun, fulfilling, satisfying. He will make all of that more. And to boot, you can multiply Him in so many other people and have the beautiful satisfaction, not just now, but for all of eternity, of knowing the people that you brought to Christ. Man, what a treasure. Now, the answer is, do we really have to give up everything to follow Jesus Christ? Absolutely not. We do give up, and we will always give up things for the things that we want of this world, whether it's Jesus or it's the contrary of Jesus. We will always, always have to give up things in order to have things. That's just part of human life. What do you want to give up, and what do you want to have? And in Jesus Christ's sake, what do you want to multiply inside of you and make better and more, and inside of the lives of so many other people? Till next time, friends.